Today I want to talk about ADHD, but maybe not in the way you're used to. We're going to look at it through a whole new lens. See, this isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's about understanding a really unique way of experiencing the world. Together, we're going to explore some practical, supportive structures. Think of them as scaffolding that can help anyone with this kind of brain wiring to truly thrive.
Does that sound familiar at all? That feeling? That constant nagging sense that you're just in this uphill battle with everything? The clutter, the deadlines, your own focus? If you're an adult with ADHD, that feeling of being overwhelmed, well, it isn't just in your head. It's a very real and often very exhausting part of your day-to-day experience. And this right here might be the most important thing we talk about today. If you take away just one thing, let it be this. Those struggles you face have nothing to do with your character. They're not about a lack of effort, you are not lazy, you are not broken, and you are not failing. It's simply about having a brain that's wired differently. And really getting that, that's the first step. That's how we start to quiet down that harsh inner critic and find a bit more compassion for ourselves. Okay, so if we're going to build an effective support system, we first have to understand what it is we're actually supporting. And that brings us to the very core of the ADHD experience, a set of skills we call executive functions. The best way to think about them? Well, they're kind of like the busy CEO in charge of your brain's entire operation. So what exactly are these executive functions? Well, they're all those high-level mental skills we count on pretty much every minute of every day. I mean, think about it. Planning what to do this afternoon, organizing your thoughts for an email, remembering to pick up milk on the way home, prioritizing tasks, paying attention in a meeting, all of that. That's your brain's CEO hard at work.
Now, with an ADHD brain, that CEO is often absolutely brilliant. I'm talking full of incredible, creative, out-of-the-box ideas, able to see connections that nobody else can. But, and this is the key, that same brilliant CEO is also very, very easily distracted, always tempted to chase down every shiny new thought that pops into their head. And that brings us right back to our central idea, this concept of scaffolding. We're not trying to change the CEO. We're not trying to fundamentally rewire who they are. Instead, our goal is to build an amazing support system, a scaffold that provides all the structure, the reminders, and the focus that our brilliant CEO needs to really do their best work. So, where do we start? How do we actually begin building this scaffolding? Well, we start with the most tangible, physical support system we have, our environment. By becoming an architect of your own space, you can take so much of the mental strain out of just staying on top of life. The main strategy here is something called cognitive offloading. It sounds fancy, but the idea is actually incredibly simple and powerful. Just think, your brain's working memory, it's not infinite. It's not supposed to be a storage unit for every little thing you have to do. So by moving tasks, reminders, and ideas out of your head and into your physical environment, you free up all that precious mental energy for the things that really matter. And look, none of this is rocket science, right? It's actually beautifully simple. Having a little bowl by the door where your keys and wallet always live, that means you're not scrambling and stressing every single morning. Dealing with mail the second you walk in, right over the recycling bin, no more dreaded paper piles. And color coding a calendar, suddenly your whole week makes sense at a single glance. Every single one of these is just a tiny external system that takes the burden of remembering off your plate. It does the heavy lifting for you. All right, our next piece of scaffolding is for something a lot trickier because it's totally abstract. It's for time. You see, for so many people with ADHD, time doesn't feel like a steady, forward-moving thing. It's slippery. An hour can feel like 5 minutes if you're deep into something you love, and 5 minutes can feel like an eternity if you're bored. And that experience has a name. It's called timeliness. And it's so important to know that this isn't a character flaw. It's a genuine neurological difficulty in sensing the passage of time internally. And of course, that makes it incredibly hard to guess how long a project will take or to really feel the urgency of a deadline that's still a week away. So what's the workaround? What do we do? Well, if you can't feel time on the inside, you have to be able to see it on the outside. The strategy is to take this abstract concept of time and make it physical, make it tangible, make it something you can actually look at and interact with. The Pomodoro technique is just a perfect example of this in action. When you put a physical timer on your desk, not your phone, but a real timer you can see, and you watch it count down from 25 minutes, suddenly that block of time is real. You can literally see it disappearing. It transforms a giant, overwhelming project into a series of small, manageable, and most importantly, visible sprints of work. Now, this whole idea of building scaffolding isn't just for organizing your stuff or managing your time. It also applies to another area that's absolutely crucial, our emotions. Because ADHD isn't just about focus. It often means experiencing feelings with a real intensity, which can make managing those big emotions a pretty significant challenge. This quote from Dr. Gabor Mate, I think, just captures it so beautifully. There's often this profound sensitivity, this way of absorbing the emotional climate of a room. And that can be a true superpower. It can lead to incredible empathy. But let's be honest, it can also be completely overwhelming at times. So the emotional scaffolding we need to build is all about creating one simple thing: a pause. Just a little bit of space, a brief moment between a huge feeling bubbling up and your automatic reaction to it. Because it's in that tiny little gap that you give your brain's CEO a chance to step in and make a thoughtful choice instead of just reacting on pure impulse. And the tools you can use to create that pause, they don't have to be complicated at all. It can be as simple as doing some box breathing to calm your nervous system right down. It could be literally just walking out of a stressful situation to get some air, or even just saying the feeling out loud. Wow, I am feeling so frustrated right now, can take away so much of its power over you. Building up that emotional resilience also really comes down to the stories we tell ourselves inside our own heads. Just notice the shift here. You go from this huge, overwhelming thought like, I'll never finish this, to something small and doable. I'll just start today. Or from, I'm such a failure, to, okay, ADHD won this round. What can I learn from this for next time? It's not about pretending the struggle isn't real. It's about acknowledging it with some kindness and just focusing on the very next step. Okay, we've talked about scaffolds for your space, scaffolds for time, and scaffolds for your emotions. That is a lot, I know. And the big question is, where on earth do I even start? The most important thing to remember is not to get overwhelmed by trying to build the entire structure all at once. Because the goal here is absolutely not perfection. It's just progress. I want you to think of yourself as a friendly scientist in the lab of your own life. Just pick one thing from our conversation today, just one little strategy, and treat it like a tiny experiment. See what happens. And if it doesn't work for you, that is not a failure. It's just data. You've learned something valuable, and you can try a different experiment tomorrow. And through it all, please remember to be kind to yourself. A brain that is wired for incredible hyperfocus, for boundless creativity, for high energy, that is not a deficient brain. It's an incredibly powerful one. The whole point of all this scaffolding isn't to tame those strengths, but to build the structure that lets them really, truly shine. And that really brings us to the end. I just want to leave you with this one question to think about. Not what you'll do tomorrow or next week, but today. What is one small, simple scaffold you can build for yourself right now to support your brain's brilliant, busy CEO? Maybe it really is as simple as putting a little tray by the door for your keys. That small step, that's how you begin. That's the start of building a life that works beautifully with your unique and wonderful mind.